Welcome to So Many Receipts. I'm Flo Michelle.
And I'm Shelley Seddon.
And we are two entertainment journos based in Sydney, Australia who love to analyse and talk about all things reality TV and pop culture.
Each week on Receipt Roundup, we bring you our take on what's trending.
This week on the show, a farmer on Farmer Wants a Wife turns into a zombie. Yet another billion-dollar playground scandal, Bravo's editing nightmare on the Valley, a cringe-worthy love hotel, and more.
So, starting out with Farmer Wants a Wife. Last week, I called out billion-dollar playground for being fake, and this week, I'm doing it with Farmer Wants a Wife.
Right.
So, every week, we talk about how this show is struggling. So, it's struggling so much that they are now creating fake drama, which is not unheard of in reality TV land, but for a show that prides itself on being wholesome, it is turning into maths.
It is.
So Farmer Thomas jumped into his truck and hooned off into the night on Tuesday's episode. And the preview shows that he went MIA the next day. So a source told Woman's Day, Farmer Thomas was held back from filming that day, and producers told everyone, including the other farmers, he had gone missing, heightening his absence just to mess with Clarette.
Yeah, and Claire left the show earlier in the season, but producers have desperately tried to keep her presence alive and teased that she might be coming back just in order to freak out poor Clarette even more. Thomas immediately told Clarette when Claire sent him a text message, which did not go over well, unsurprisingly. Right. He didn't read the message, and Claire later said that it was purely platonic. She was just wanting to wish him good luck with the filming. You know, I've never seen someone who's not on the show and was only on it for 5 minutes get so much airtime.
I know, it's the ghost of Claire. it makes it even more confusing because it's Claire and Clarette.
I know.
Oh, my God. Anyway, well, according to this source, Farmer Thomas was told not to reveal too much to Clarette to keep her guessing, and it was one of the producers' tactics to keep the ladies on their toes to say Farmer Thomas had gone missing. So cruel.
So cruel. And, you know, I know people in the forums say Clarette's no good for him, but is he any good for her?
Yeah.
He was texting Claire, meeting up with Claire, sending her a picture of his big tractor. I mean, is that what we're calling it now?
Exactly.
Yeah, she's now living with this man in the middle of nowhere in South Australia. I feel like I want to do a wellness check on her. Should we go out there?
We should.
Yeah, and we did send her a friendly hello. We're on your side, Clarette, on Instagram. Clarette, if you are listening, we're here to help. Blink twice if you need us.
I hope she got our message. Like, clearly, yeah.
Well, she didn't, because it said like she was only accepting messages from people she knows.
I know.
I don't blame her. She'd probably get a bucket load of hate, which is so unfair.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we met Farmer Jack L. from Tassie. There was a big cliffhanger that they teased. The Daily Mail's headline the next day was, Farmer Wants a Wife, rocked as newcomer Jack breaks the rules on day one, resulting in a twist never before seen on the show. So wait for it. This was the twist. He wants to bring 4 women back instead of 5. Oh, my God.
I said it last week. I said it was going to be lame, and it was effing lame.
I know.
I mean, that was it.
Yeah. I thought maybe he wanted to bring back 8 ladies, but no, 4.
Yeah, anyway. I knew that was going to happen.
Desperate. He picked. So he ends up bringing Sarah back, who looks like a young Gina Davis, I think. So she goes back to the farm for the 24-hour date, and the next day the other 3 ladies show up, and he immediately puts them to work cleaning the crap literally out of the dairy barn. On this poor girl Haley, she actually sticks her bare hand down a drain to scoop out handfuls of poo.
I didn't realize her. I didn't see that she had no glove on.
Yeah, no glove.
So you sure she had no glove?
I'm positive. It's disgusting. I would have left the farm immediately. It's like, it's that Meatloaf song.
You would run away
for
screaming.
Love, but I would not do that. I won't do that. I will not do that. It's disgusting. Meanwhile, Farmer Corey is kissing up a storm. He picks Keely for a date and then JD and asks them both when they could possibly move to the farm. What's the timeline? Meanwhile, Chloe's left behind. And rumor has it that he picks Keely, but I refuse to believe this. Team Chloe, the way he looks at her, I refuse to believe it.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Really?
Oh, I'm not good at betting though. I lose on the Melbourne Cup. I can't pick. I know I've got no intuition. We've already established that.
We know that's crap.
When we talked to Roger Corso on the floor, we established I had no intuition. So just an aside. Have you noticed now that when you Google something, it often returns you with an entry at the top of the page where it says something like written by Google AI?
Yes, it's all over now, yeah.
Yeah. So a reporter at the Illawarra Mercury, which is a paper in New South Wales, says that he's been writing up satirical weekly articles about Farmer Wants a Wife for the news site. And in one article, he made a joke that Thomas turned into a zombie after Claire broke his heart. You know, he was just was sleepwalking after that. Anyway, the piece was published online, but Google AI didn't quite get it. If you then put into the search engine the words zombie farmer, Google AI took that news literally and reported that Thomas had turned into an actual zombie.
Oh my God.
And stated very seriously that this was a plot twist used in the show's advertising.
Wow.
Then in another search result, it stated that Thomas wanted to eat brains. Google AI had interpreted a satire piece as actual fact. This is the craziest AI fail I have ever heard. That is so insane.
Well, this actually makes me happy because it makes me think maybe AI won't replace every journalist and writer. So it's got glitches, thank God. And we still need a human touch to recognize things like satire and sarcasm.
Yeah, I guess so. And since the reporter wrote another article about how laughable that mistake was, now when you type zombie farmer into Google, unfortunately that no longer comes up. I would have loved to have seen it. So it's recognized the error of its ways. But you know what? The most ironic thing is I think he actually is a real life zombie.
Well, you called him a goober last week as well.
Exactly. Shape up. Now, on to Love Hotel. And it was a very weird way to start the show, with Shannon telling Earl the Pearl that she tracked down his long-lost stepson for him and gave him his contact details. Was that her idea or the producers?
I don't know, but I thought it was actually a lovely gesture. But I mean, this is a bit mean, but I thought it's actually not that hard to find someone these days. Like, if you really want to find someone, like your boyfriend from high school or, you know, like someone you worked with that you had a crush on, like I lightly stalk people on a regular basis. It's like, it's mainly celebrities, but it's research, you know. But I would just say to Shannon that Earl the Pearl is not your project to fix. It's not Charity Hotel. She's just making bad decisions when it comes to relationships.
But she gave the assignment to her lawyer
I know, exactly.
to track down for her. I mean, if he had to take time out of his busy day to track down Earl the Pearl's stepson, that's a good lawyer going the distance. I mean, she does consult lawyers a lot because of her drinking and everything.
I know, but do you know how much lawyers charge per hour? Wouldn't it be cheaper to have someone else Google it besides your lawyer? But anyway.
And I actually thought it was kind of cringe. I mean, did the adult stepson even want to be found?
Yeah, because the stepson could have, you know, Googled Earl the Pearl and found him if he really, really wanted to see him. But anyway.
Did she feel that bad about the fight about the vegetables that she felt she needed to make it up to him with such a grand gesture? I mean, I'm sorry we fought over broccoli. Here's your child. It just felt very out of place for a bright and breezy dating show. It suddenly turned into an episode of Find My Family.
Yeah, exactly. The other weird thing I thought was Ashley. She is just all over the place. She had this hot kiss with Ralph last week, and she was all over him like a bad rash on the last episode. But now she's saying he kisses like a lizard, and she said she had her period, so she didn't have to have sex with him.
Excuse.
Exactly. That's something you do when you're married, not before you've ever even had a proper first date. I think that is a red flag, literally.
I mean, the lizard grandpa vibes made me shriek out loud. But now, in next week's preview, it's indicated she's back on with Ralph, right?
Yeah, I know. They're like making out in the sea or something off a yacht. But she's also back and forth with Wale. She thinks he's too young and he'll want kids, and she doesn't know if she wants more kids. But then the next, you know, thing she says she could fall in love with him. She tells him she could fall in love with him. Then she's off him again. And I actually agree with Wale. You know, he's clingy, but he's right when he's saying that she plays games.
She does play games, but Wale, oh my God, what a waste of the group giving the second key to him. Ashley has no radar when it comes to men.
Apparently.
That's what's going on. She says in her confessionals that Wale's so great, she likes him so much. Meanwhile, in his confessionals, he can't stop bad-mouthing her. Plus all that talk about whether or not he wants kids. They haven't even gone on a date in the real world yet.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not put the cart too much before the horse.
Exactly. Well, thank God our Lou is prowling around like the cougar that she is. And for some reason, they bring back the guy who looks like Jesus. They booted him
I
because he was a
I forgot all
player.
about him, and I think it was right to forget all about him.
He looks like a cartoon character, doesn't he? Like from Central Casting, he's just white hair and white beard.
He didn't have any chemistry with them, so why bring him back?
Yeah,
Or was
I'm
it
not
just
sure.
pure comic relief?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, so he didn't even make any effort to pursue Luann, so she ended up taking James back to her room and covered the camera, Emerald style, like on Summer House. But thank God Lou is making this show spicy because Shannon and Giselle are just not turning up the heat.
Why is Giselle even on the show?
Yeah.
She seems incredibly fussy with men. She doesn't even like to flirt or
Yeah.
have any kind of fun with them. I mean, can someone just call Ramona and get her on the next flight out there?
Yeah, they really need her.
Are you ready to step into the best version of you in 2025 with sold-out programs and life-changing results? Transform You is designed to help you break through what's holding you back and create a life filled with purpose, abundance, and joy. You'll work with me personally and walk away clear, confident, and fully aligned. The next Transform You course is now open and spots are limited. So head to exojackie.com. This is your time to shine. Come and join me. When you shift your thoughts, you shift your life. Let's make 2025 the year you finally back yourself.
So if you haven't yet heard our chat with the fabulous Jackie Gillies from The Real Housewives of Melbourne, go to our deep dive chat with her on So Many Receipts. We recently caught up with Jackie at her Soul Sessions live show in Sydney and spoke to her about housewife, life lessons and a new online course, Transform You. So don't forget to give that a listen.
So, on to $1 Billion Playground. Another day, another dodgy guest. Last week, we uncovered the mystery behind primary guest Delek, who is actually a freelance journalist and TV producer based in Mossman. We saw Delek and her friends, who also seem to be based in Sydney, flying in on a private jet for a luxury stay all the way across the Harbour Bridge in Rose Bay.
Some people think that's a long way.
Yeah, some people do say you need a passport to go over the bridge.
Go from one end to the other.
The dark side. And so this week we have Curtis Tofa, who is a former military veteran who has reinvented himself as a motivational speaker and coach for 7- and 8-figure businessmen only. So I guess it's too bad if you're a businesswoman.
Yeah, of course. So we Googled Curtis, came across his last name, and then his business. We did the detective work. We got the receipts. And then some articles from 2 years ago popped up when he was running a fitness boot camp retreats. I'm not sure if he still does that. But anyway, back then it was a 3-day retreat where participants paid $10,000 to attend. We've done some digging and found out a shocking bit of info. 2 years ago, a 27-year-old man who was apparently in good health actually suddenly died on one of Curtis's retreats.
Yeah, so sad.
And from what we read, there was no suggestion that Curtis was in the wrong for this death. However, he did do an interview afterwards saying from now on he was going to always carry a defibrillator with him on these retreats in case of emergencies.
Oh my God. It's like, who else is going to pop up on this show? So anyway, we saw Curtis and his bros who were into animal protein, Liver King style, I guess, ice baths, juice shots, and no crinkles. So apparently they are supposedly coming straight from another jet-setting holiday and have bags of dirty laundry that need to be washed, dried, and crinkle-free. So I don't know why they don't call them wrinkles. They're calling them crinkles. But this needs to be done before dinner at precisely 6 p.m. or I guess it's $1,800 military time. I'm terrible with military time. But for some reason, laundry seems to be the weak link in the Lexico labor chain. So the male guests are standing around shirtless, which I actually didn't mind too much, at 5:59 p.m. as the clock is ticking. So then to make things even worse, the trainee Nicole calls Curtis, the primary, by the wrong name. If you have to know one guest's name in a group, make sure it's the primary guest's name. Duh.
And the next day, the staff were all deer in the headlights, right, when the guests asked for steak for breakfast. I mean, they didn't even seem to have enough eggs on hand. Isn't this why you have the preference sheet meetings?
Yes, exactly.
Which they don't do to find out things like this. The guest would like Wagyu and 4 eggs each for breakfast. That way you're not stranded in the middle of the Australian bush
Yes.
with nothing but a bunch of fruit and muesli when the guests want protein and they're paying all that money.
Exactly. And the episode ends with some behind-the-scenes backstabbing. JB, the French butler, doesn't like that newbie Jasmine has been named head concierge and is in charge of everyone. So instead of serving the guests champagne with their oyster tasting at precisely 5:45 p.m., he sneaks off to call the big boss Alex, and he throws Jasmine under the bus.
Yeah, he
so
did.
Conveniently, Jasmine walks in and overhears him talking shit about her to the boss Alex. So strangely enough, when I checked out Lexico's website, JB and Jasmine are the only two people out of the entire cast who actually work at Lexico.
And we never see the owners either.
Well, just very, very briefly. They come in when they do the get the guest feedback. You know, and they sit at the table and
yeah,
she's
it's
like,
so brief I didn't see it.
I know. It's so forgettable. Yeah, exactly.
Goodness me. So anyway, on to the Valley, and it's become pretty clear that Janet is the show's villain. And Shell, you have found out that she's now involved in a scandal and has pissed off Bravo, right?
Yes. So there was a lot of discussion about Danny and maybe him having a problem with alcohol. And in a confessional, Janet said that Nia, Danny's wife, had gone to Al-Anon meetings, which helps families of alcoholics. So the first rule of Al-Anon is that you don't talk about Al-Anon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it's anonymous. It's meant to be a safe space for people to deal with their problems. And Janet is an idiot. Not only did she talk about that in her confessional, she also mentioned it on the after show. And then she was a guest on Watch What Happens Live with Jason. And there was a poll about it. So the show is on Bravo in the U.S. And on the East Coast, the show aired as normal with all the references to Al-Anon. And then NBC, who owns Bravo, they must have gotten massive blowback because they went into damage control mode and had to edit every reference having to do with Janet outing Nia and Al-Anon, including the foreign and internet airings. So this is a big F-up, and I can't believe it wasn't caught before going to air in 3 different scenarios. I think Nia should actually sue them.
Yeah. So if it was edited out in foreign territories, why did we see it here?
I know. We saw it.
That's really weird.
Yeah. So I saw it. I immediately thought, I can't believe she's saying that. She should know the rules because she's like, I went to Al-Anon when I was dating an addict. She should know that you shouldn't do that. But we saw it here on the show. And then I did watch What Happens Live, and it was cut out of that.
Okay.
But we don't know if Nia went to Al-Anon because of Danny. She shared that she's had periods of being homeless with her mother while she was growing up. So it might have something to do with their mother. But who knows? Either way, it's no one's business.
Yeah, and we've seen this on Pharma, so many shows, editing out people after they've already been shot is a nightmare. Anyway, some backstory on Janet. If you didn't watch The Valley last season, she's married to a guy called Jason Caprina, and she's always making out like her marriage is just wonderful compared to the other ones. She was in the final months of her first pregnancy on the first season of The Valley, where she talked frequently about that. And far from taking it easy, she managed to insert herself into every ounce of drama, like she was in charge of a group project. She got into a big fight with Kristen in the first episodes. She gathered as much dirt as possible throughout that season and claimed she was innocent about everything. But by the end of the season, not so innocent fans dubbed her the villain, and she's been the villain ever since. She's pretty unpopular with fans and with me as well. I don't like her.
I can't stand it. So you have to watch What Happens Live because Jason and Janet were on there. They were so boring, and all the audience polls, they totally went against her.
So what were they saying on the polls? What were they asking?
Just are you on Janet's side in this argument? Whose side are you on, Nia?
And it was all down.
Oh, yes.
There was all down percentage-wise, and she had to look at it?
Yes.
What was her face like?
Oh, yeah. She just got hammered on that show.
Did she look embarrassed?
Yeah.
Or pissed off?
I kind of felt sad for her because she was in the hot seat because it's very
clear
that
sounds
no one likes
so
her.
uncomfortable because whenever they're on the show and they do those polls and do you like this person and it's 90% and they're all laughing and clapping and then oh my
it
God,
was cringy. It was so
that is
cringy.
cringe.
Yeah. So as far as Danny's drinking goes, I obviously don't know if he has a problem, but from what I can see, it's totally been blown out of proportion. So Jason even said Danny gets drunk a couple of times a year.
You should see me.
I know.
More than that.
It reminds me of like the moms, when you go out with a group of moms, they're away from their kids, they've got a night out, they just go nutty. It's like, blow off some steam, it's fine. So on the Santa Barbara trip, he drove back to LA to do a voiceover job, then drove back to Santa Barbara. The traffic would have been a nightmare. Then he had a bunch of drinks to catch up and then passed out and didn't go to dinner. So I would be exhausted as well. Plus, he probably already has a sleep deficit from having 3 kids under 3.
Yeah, and plus Jasmine saying, oh, he's just a voiceover artist. Why is he so tired? Well, first up, he's not working from home, sitting at a desk all day, going from the bedroom to the dining room in his PJs.
Yeah.
He's running around from studio to studio, job to job. A working voiceover artist actor, it's a busy job, right? You're on your feet all day long, going to auditions. He's got 3 little kids. It sounds tiring.
Yeah, if you're a voiceover artist, you've got to be switched on,
All the energy
and deliver, for sure.
that you need, like getting in the headspace.
And what does Jasmine do?
Yeah, what does she do?
She used to be like
honestly, what does she do?
She was like a professional cheerleader or a dancer or something. But that was back in the day. I don't know what she does now.
I think he would be more busy, and she doesn't have kids. He'd be more busy than her 3,000% times.
Exactly.
That.
And
yeah.
everyone was wasted in Santa Barbara. They were day drinking. Like Jesse started drinking at 10 a.m. the stale champagne
With his wine shirt on, the one with the
Yes.
grapes on his lapel.
Yes. So they were day drinking at the winery, then coming back for a boozy dinner. And Jasmine had to apologize to Nia for going after her because she had too much to drink the night before. And Brittany had to throw a special dinner and apologize to Nia because she had too much to drink the night before. Everyone was wasted. And obviously, Danny's behavior at the Halloween party was not good. He's obviously a messy drunk.
This is when he patted Jasmine on the
said,
butt.
"Call me daddy."
Yeah, and her girlfriend for good measure.
Get daddy a drink. But he took accountability, apologized, and Nia said they even worked through it in therapy. So it's like, I have to say, there is one good thing to come out of this debacle. So I actually like someone on the Valley now.
Yay.
So Nia's heartfelt confession about having to sleep in her car and being poor and waking up and thanking God that at least she had a car to sleep in was gut-wrenching. And she went on to win like Miss USA and was a first runner-up in Miss Universe. That's amazing.
I think that she is absolutely one of the most beautiful women on reality TV. She has the most stunning face. One thing that did shock me was that they showed footage. They live in this small, quite plain apartment.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite messy. Like, where's the floor messy? Where's the couch messy? I can't see it. I just expected her to be so perfect. I guess I'm used to seeing perfect homes that have been micromanaged by housekeepers on these shows, that I actually forgot what a real house on TV looks like.
Yeah, well, they did ask Danny when he was on Watch What Happens Live what's Nia's, fault Nia has, and he said she's really messy.
It was a bit like when on MAFS when Jackie visited Ryan's house.
Yes.
And said that it was
reminded her of old people.
It looked like a home for old people, and there was stuff everywhere and month-old eggs. It kind of gave me the Ryan vibes from MAFS sort of scenario.
So onto our roses and thorns. I'm starting off with my thorn for the week, which was the finale of Below Deck Down Under. And I have to say this season was pretty underwhelming. So I really missed Aisha. I think that was part of the problem. But like they had a door punching incident. 2 crew members were fired and there were boat mounces, but it was still just really meh.
Yeah, it was meh.
Yeah. And so basically we just saw Laura and Zarina bickering about plates and arguing over who should clean the crew mast. It's like, we don't care.
Yeah, I thought it was a boring season as well. But then again, I pretty much always think that any Below Deck, for the most part, is boring. It's like my personal tradition, thinking it's boring. But on the other hand, it kind of feels a bit mean to be mean about it. It's almost like being mean to a kitten.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. It's simple. It's a very low-stakes drama when you compare it to other shows.
Yeah, you're right. But it's one of Hayu's most popular shows in Australia. It's always either number 1 or number 2, higher up than some of the seasons of Housewives, although you have to wonder why.
Well, I think for a lot of people, I mean, I'm thinking it probably hits a sweet spot in that there's just enough drama and it's very rarely that upsetting or nasty. Like, it's nowhere near the realm of The Valley or some of the fights on
Dark,
Real Housewives. It doesn't really get that dark. And I think a big reason for this is that the casts of these shows are actually working boat people. They still have to do the same job on other boats once the show's over, and they don't want to get a bad reputation for being difficult or sleeping around, and people see that on TV. Although a few of them do, but really, I think they all mostly behave. And I do get that people like looking at the beautiful locations and seeing how the rich live and all of that and thinking, oh, I wish that was me. I've often thought, I wish that was me. I don't have I can't pay for it and I can't give the tip either. Not only are they paying for it, they're giving like
25,000. Yeah.
Who has that money?
I know. I'm the same. I'm like, what would I put on my preference sheet?
Will a tip for 1,500 suffice?
I know. And,
for all of you.
The Pacific peso as well. It's like, anyway. So thankfully next season we have Daisy Kelleher from Below Deck Sailing Yacht, who is fabulous. And she's going to be the chief stew, and Chef Ben Robinson from Below Deck.
So I don't really remember much about Ben. Was he a troublemaker or what?
No. Because people say that he might be Kate Chastain's baby daddy.
No,
it's not confirmed.
Stop.
It's not confirmed.
That is gold. I didn't know that.
There's a rumor because they're best friends. They're like really. I think they live near each other. And
He's
everything.
a British guy, right? Is he British?
I'm not sure.
Can't remember.
I can't
they
remember.
live near each other?
Yeah.
Also, it would have been convenient to stop on over.
Yeah, exactly.
Turkey based or otherwise.
Or not. So we've seen a preview on Insta, which also features Angie Katsianis and Mary Cosby from The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
And I so hope that it's the whole cast and not just them two or half of the cast.
Yes.
Oh, gold.
It would be so good. So, and I also hope that the show comes back to Australia because I thought the Seychelles, it just seemed really humid and it wasn't that interesting. And Australia's stunning. Keep the Aussie spirit.
It's below. This was what we talked about a few episodes ago. It's a below deck down under.
But it's technically down under Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, I know. But there's Aussies on it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I do have some random notes. The stalking, like I'm talking about, I just lightly stalked Captain Jason. So he has a line of silk kimonos that he sells on his website, The Captain's Lounge. They're $300 each, and that's in US dollars, I think, as well. So that would be $466.
I know, but silk kimonos, like a man selling silk kimonos, isn't that a little bit... Oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, and the ones on the website are longer because his seems to be getting shorter every season. I'm just saying. And anyway, but also he now lives in Bali. He was based in the Philippines. He built like a resort there and his little girl lives there. But now he has moved to Bali because of the international schools because his daughter has just started school. So I think this is yet another reason to join Jackie Gillies on her Bali Bliss retreat. We can stalk Captain Jason.
That's a good reason.
It's a business expense.
Yeah.
And research.
Because he's actually from Gosford. I mean, it would be much more convenient for us if he lived in Gosford, not far from Sydney. But
it's content.
Maybe we'll go and visit him. So do we know if either of the couples on Below Deck Down Under are still together?
So I can confirm that Bree and Harry are not together.
Okay.
They traveled together after the show, and they're still friends, but the long-distance thing didn't work. Shocker, never does. And Marina and Nerdy Nick, the Star Trek dude, I can't figure out based on their social media if they're together or not, but I'm guessing that if they were still together we would know. But also Harry revealed on Watch What Happens Live, obviously I've watched a lot of Watch What Happens Live this last week.
I need to catch up.
It's so good. So he said that Serena had blocked him and he didn't like her comments on social media while the show was airing, and he couldn't support her bullying people, and she got mad at him and blocked him.
Yeah, I don't know whether I liked her or not.
Yeah, she seems
I kind of did. I kind of liked the fights that she was having with Lara. I'm in the forums, though people don't like either of them, actually.
Yeah. Well, they're both gone for next season.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. So my rose for this week is for the return of season 2 of the drama Strife on Binge and Foxtel. So, Shell, I very rarely watch drama series, never. I've always been more interested in realities and docos. However, I did watch the first episode of this new season of Strife because this is a series loosely based on Mia Friedman and how she set up her now massive website, Mamma Mia. And even though Mia has said it's not a biopic series about her, there are so many similarities to Mamma Mia that I picked up in just the first episode.
Yeah, of course.
So it stars Asha Keddy, one of my favourite actresses in the world when I do watch drama, as Evelyn Jones, who sets up a woman's digital website, Eve Life. So that's a play on her name, just like Mamma Mia. It's a play on Mia's name. It's set in the year 2012 when magazines were really starting to die out and digital was taking over, which is something we can both relate to.
Yeah.
That was a tough time for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually watched the first season of Strife, and I also watched the first episode of this latest season. And the other thing they're getting into this season is podcasting. So I thought that might be interesting to watch, how they did that. So I know the show's about setting up the website, and it's all a bit chaotic and nerve-wracking, which reflects the experience of Mia, who admits she really didn't know what she was doing at first, right?
Yeah, correct. And firstly, so on the show you see it's an office full of very young female journos. The only one who was older was a middle-aged woman with a Northern English accent, who I think may be based on Holly Wainwright, who works at Mamma Mia and does the Out Loud podcast with Mia and Jessie Stevens. Holly's also a Brit. I think she's a Northern Brit as well. And she actually used to be my boss.
What?
At Woman's Day a million years
wow.
ago. She was a news editor. I was a news writer. She used to come up to my desk and say, I've got a story for you.
I love the accent.
She's very nice, Holly. And then there's a man in the office in the show who always tries to make Eve take more of a business interest in the site.
Yeah, maybe he might be based on her husband Jason, because he also runs Mamma Mia, and she said without him she would have no idea how to push the site forward business wise.
Yeah, to me he reminded me maybe of the Jason, her husband. And there's also her teenage son, who is this tall guy with dark bushy hair, who actually looks like Mia's own son Luca, who is now married to Jessie Stevens. Then in this episode, there's a launch of a rival website called Woman, spelled WHOMAN. Now, back in 2017, another real site in Australia launched here, and it was called Women.
I forgot about that, yes.
Spelled WHIMN. It was a competitor to Mamma Mia, and I actually wrote articles at one stage for both Women and Mamma Mia. And in this episode, Eve also has a bit of a bitchy rivalry with the founder of Woman. And I'm wondering now if Mia had a real life rivalry with someone at Women, as I know who was in charge of it, not going to say. And it just makes me wonder if that bit's kind of true.
Juicy.
Yeah, anyway, I enjoyed this show because, of course, I could really relate to it. A lot of journos in our industry have been really sad about the death of magazines and the rise of websites. It doesn't feel as fun as an industry. And when we were talking about it the other day, I was saying to you, it kind of feels like, let's say you were an eye doctor and it's all you'd ever trained for and knew. Your speciality was eyes, and then suddenly there was no need for eye doctors.
Yeah.
And people said to you, you can still be a doctor, just do another body part.
Yeah.
Just retrain or go and work for the health department or something like that. That's kind of what it was like for us. We were print journos in magazines and newspapers, and then there's suddenly there is still print, but it's just not as prevalent as it was. It's not as easy as it was to be in it. It's sad.
It's so sad. And just like, the glory days of like having cab charges and going to lunches.
You remember the cab charges. I remember that.
Yeah. I just remember like I'd do the writing in the morning.
Yeah.
Then I would leave around lunchtime. I'd go to a movie screening. I would, get your cab charges, go to an event, and you'd come back, the next morning and your desk would be filled with gift bags or, from some PR and... Oh, the glory days.
Well, some TV stations now don't even do events. They can't afford them.
No one does events.
What's the fun in it of being an entertainment journo? It's just kind of really...
I know.
And then of the craft of writing, there was no ChatGPT. It was your own words, your own wit, your own skill.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, gosh. It was. Glad we were in it when we were in it, right?
Yeah.
Sad for now, though.
I think we're still in the grief process. I don't know. So onto the Summer House season finale, which I'm picking as my rose this week. So... this was my first season summering in the Hamptons with the gang, and I actually don't want to leave. I'm so sad. So I started watching Winter House to see Craig and Paige's initial hookup, and now I've transitioned over to Summer House. So I actually love the female friendships on this show, and I've said before the guys are so lame and the girls are fabulous. I don't get that dynamic, but so this was the final show in the season, and the last bit of the show was action-packed. So after filming wrapped, they went back to the city and they, cut to like Lindsay entering the hospital alone. Well, technically she did have a camera crew following her to give birth to her adorable baby Gemma. Then they cut to the day where Paige announces her split from Craig on Giggly Squad podcast. Then they cut to this scene they filmed later in January where Paige and Amanda go over to Lindsay's apartment to catch up and meet her baby. So
Yeah, and I was waiting for the split. They finally got around to the split, the most painful end to a relationship on reality TV, Paige and Craig. And then the bad-mouthing they did of each other in the interviews afterwards, once it was all over. It was even more mortifying.
Yeah, so it was weird because we saw like Craig's side on, Southern Charm. Now we saw Paige's side.
Yeah.
So Paige is debriefing the girls regarding the breakup. And she said, Craig said he bought her a ring, but she's not convinced. And she thinks that he might be lying. He said he had the ring for a year. And so when she announced their split, rumors started that she was cheating on Craig, and she got so much backlash. And she actually asked him to put out a statement saying that it wasn't true, that she didn't cheat on him, but he refused. And that was the last time they ever spoke.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what started the bad blood.
Yeah. And meanwhile, just as a weird thing, Lindsay is listening to all this pumping the breast milk, using the pump, and the girls are fascinated, and they want to know what the breast milk tastes like. So they all do a shot of breast milk along with the champagne that they're drinking, and they say it's actually delicious.
I was too scared to drink my own breast milk. I should have actually. Now I was just always too scared to try it, and I really wish I did. I saw Kim Kardashian take a shot of it, like with one of her kids on the Kardashians, and she said, "Oh, it's just like soy milk." I should have just tried it.
Yeah.
I do like soy milk. And then we have, Jessie, Lexi. Alas, just another summer fling.
I know. It was just too much too fast. And I just feel like Lexi was just too naive to deal with Jessie's F-boy behavior. And I have to say, anyone who is considering going on a reality TV show, words of advice, never jump into a relationship. You need to figure out the lay of the land, weigh up your options. You just need to suss people out. So
true.
And speaking of F-boy Jussie, the big rumor last week was that he hooked up with Eric and Jane.
From Housewives.
Yuck.
Yep.
Yes, from Beverly Hills. First of all, I will say these are two single people. They can do whatever the F they want. Erica is 53 and Jesse's 31. Which,
that's all right. That's young.
Yeah, exactly. Which normally I would say not a problem. Like Luann hooked up with Joe Bradley from Southern Hospitality after they appeared on Watch What Happens Live together. Fine. Do whatever you want to do.
I don't mind this combination of Jerica.
I thought it was like Jessica. It's like Jessie and Erica. Jessica.
She just wants to have fun. He's an F-boy.
Yeah.
At least he's not 90 years old like her ex-husband.
Yeah, he probably doesn't need Viagra and he's not geriatric, So, sources say they hooked up after appearing on Watch What Happens Live together. Like Page 6 said that on May 14th. But that's not true because Erica appeared on the show with Bose. But this was also around the same time as the NBC Universal Upfronts on May 12th, which is like this big advertising event. And they were pictured together. So I guess my issue with them is that I just like them both separately. So the thought of them together is just gross.
I do think he's quite strange looking.
Absolutely.
I was shocked to actually read he's a former male model. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought he was a finance bro, but...
He's done some modeling. He has the widest mouth. He reminds me of a frog.
Yeah.
Kermit the Frog. Does that make her Miss Piggy, Erica?
Honestly, I can see that. Totally.
So it is not often that we mention SBS on this podcast. Last week we mentioned the Stanley Tucci show on SBS. That was the first time we ever uttered those letters. And this week I'm mentioning SBS for only the second time as I'm giving it out a second rose for their show Alone Australia. So Alone is now officially SBS's most successful and widely watched show ever. Last year it pulled in a total viewership of more than 3 million people.
Wow.
In the current season, they are down to the final three competitors, each of them alone in some awful part of Tasmania, trying to outlast the other ones. We've got two men, 63-year-old Muzza and 30-year-old Shay, plus one woman, 38-year-old Corinne. All three, they're absolutely incredible. What they have to put up with now, which is day 47, is just jaw-dropping. The worst rain, freezing temperatures, no food for days. Really extraordinary stuff.
Oh, God, to me, that sounds absolutely hideous. It's worse than Survivor. At least on Survivor, you get rice and beans no matter what.
And then they give you a big fat thing of KFC or Hungry Jacks
rewards,
or something as an reward, and then they make themselves sick. It is brutal. I've watched Alones. This is brutal. Tassie can be so cold, and I know that for a fact because I was there one time in September, which is spring, and it was brutally cold, freezing. I don't know how Jackie is finding the weather down there with Clint.
Yeah.
Is she rugging up?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, red wine by the fire and all that every day, even in summertime. Anyway, I wanted to give this show a shout out as the wilderness consultant for this season and the past 2 seasons of Alone Australia is a very respected Aussie wilderness survival guide called Gordon Deadman. And I actually know Gordon because my family did a wilderness survival course with him for 2 days last year.
I can't believe after all the times we've talked about Survivor that you're just now telling me this. Like, were you naked and afraid while you were doing this?
I mean, I was afraid. I wasn't naked. I had every single bit of clothing I had on.
Holiday.
It was cold there as well. I mean, I loved it. I actually loved the course because I've always watched Alone and Naked and Afraid and Survivor. And if you watch enough of these shows and they get under your skin, they got under mine. I was thinking, you know, can I make fire? Can I purify water and do all that? So that actually was what motivated me to do Gordon's course with his business, Bushcraft Survival Australia. However, it did rain for 15 hours straight. Ugh. It was near Coffs Harbour, up in New South Wales. On the first day, it started raining at 2 p.m. and it didn't stop until 5 a.m. the next morning. Can I just say, camping in the rain is not terribly fun.
And you can't get your money back.
No, in fact, it's hell. It was like hell with extra mud. My 14-year-old daughter cried off and on for hours, berating me for being the worst mum in the world, for dragging her to this godforsaken, soggy swamp. She threatened to hitchhike at one stage to a petrol station to call a cab to go home. And she almost had a heart attack when she saw the bush toilet and was shown how to ecologically burn her own used toilet paper with a match.
I am with her on this one, 100%. To me, it sounds like a form of child abuse. Like, I have never understood the basic concept of camping and why people think it's enjoyable. It's like, I don't understand. But so do you think you could go on a show like Alone or Survivor? Like, could you actually kill an animal and eat it?
Well, it's funny you say that because on one of Gordon's courses, they're like modules. You advance in your skills with each one. In one of the modules, to kind of recreate the scenario of catching an animal in the bush and then eating it and stuff, I think he brings in live chickens, he was saying, and you have to strangle one with your bare hands and then pluck its feathers out and get its entrails out, and then you cook it up and have, fried chicken.
I'd rather starve. Really?
I can't see you doing any of that. Not even glamping, actually, for you. Don't ever glamp.
No.
I don't think you'd cope with that either. Not even the thing with the Moroccan rugs and the big the yurt thing. Yeah. Don't even do that. I think, would I do it? No, because there's no point going on in any of these shows unless you're incredibly skilled. And actually, Gordon was saying that in the very first season of Alone, it wasn't very well cast. There was quite a few people that tapped out at that very early stage and gave the lame old excuse that they were missing their families after just 48 hours.
So soft.
So soft. It is a TV show. I mean, they got to give it more than that, right?
Yeah.
However, this season, the people are so resilient, especially the old guy Muzza at 63, who I think he might win. This guy should just be putting his feet up with pipe and slippers, and yet he's so fit. He's mentally strong. It's actually very inspirational. And the woman, Corinne, how do they not lose their shit when it just pours with rain every single day and they're freezing and starving? I mean, I guess $250K is a big incentive to keep going.
Yes, that's the only thing that would motivate me, I think.
But not even that would motivate you, I don't think.
I don't think so. So that's it for this week. Thanks for listening. I'm Shelley Seddon.
And I'm Fleur Michelle.
Join us next week for So Many Receipts.